New Testament Survey, the Book of Acts, Lecture 19, page 2. At the top. Finish up this chapter and move on. So verse 17. And it came to pass that when I was coming into Jerusalem, even while I prayed in the temple, I was in a trance. And saw him saying unto me, Make haste, and get thee quickly out of Jerusalem, for they will not receive thy testimony concerning me. And I said, Lord, they know that I imprisoned and beat in every synagogue them that believed on thee. And when the blood of thy martyr Stephen was shed, I also was standing by, and consenting unto his death, and kept the raiment of them that slew him. Someone finish.
And he said unto me, Depart, for I will send thee far hence unto the Gentiles. And they gave him audience unto this word, and then lifted up their voices, and said, Away with such a fellow from the earth, for it is not fit that he should live. And as they cried out, and cast off their clothes, and threw dust in the air.
Yes, normal way I react when I get upset. So what's a trance? He goes into his trance thing. It's weird. Well, Easton's Bible dictionary says ecstasy. It didn't really translate well. Ecstasy, well, out of oneself, he says. They say preternatural, absorbed state of mind, preparing for the reception of the vision. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is dangerous, though, if you apply it to today. As if you said, well, this can still happen today. Paul gets this great information. You may want that great information too from God, so let's go into a trance. And so how do you go into a trance? I don't know. I mean, meditate. There's this TM type. There's drug-induced trances. There's hypno trances. It's very dangerous to start pursuing this. I do not believe this happens today. There's no, as far as I can tell, in the history of churches, true churches across the past 1,500 years, that they went into trances. In general. So yeah, very dangerous. So, right. It is good to pray in the church building, by the way. You went to the temple to pray. It's good to come here and pray. It's an okay thing to do. Though God can hear you just fine in your own house, or in the truck, or wherever you're at. Jesus Christ was speaking to him, in verse 18, directly. God was setting Paul up to better understand what his mission field would be. The Gentiles. He's going to be reaching the Gentiles. They're not going to receive your word, so you're going to go somewhere else. I wonder if Jerusalem will now receive our testimonies concerning Jesus Christ. Ask Brother Holiday. Doesn't sound like he's getting converts left and right. He's got a church of 100 Jewish folk yet, or Arabic Jewish. He's got very few.
It's like they all got saved, the Jews back then, because there was a bunch in Jerusalem first, but then pretty much they were cleaned out.
You got to clean them out, reach the max.
Yeah.
Milton Bradley, there's nothing left. Well, it's hard. There's a lot of, that's a religious melting pot. There's a lot of religions there, believe it or not. It's not just Judaism. It's a lot of others. There's Muslims, there's Buddhists and Hindu and all that in there. It's interesting. 19 and 20, it appears that Saul, what? Baha'i, yeah.
Baha'i, that's there.
Capital in Haifa? Haifa. It appears that Saul was the main leader in this wave of persecuting Christians. He even beat, this is weird, he beat Christians while they were meeting in synagogues. Now what were they doing in synagogues?
They were spreading the gospel. Preaching.
That's where they always went, and the apostles always went to the
Okay, but maybe they were there to preach, but it sounds like they might have met there, and like Seventh-day Adventists opened up their, you can, we meet on Saturdays, we can have your pagan Sunday day. Could have been. I don't know. Very strange. We see that Paul was greatly influenced by Stephen's death.
Yeah.
And he was one of the few that voted for his death. Cast it in the lot. He even watched over these clothing items of the men that would brutally stone Stephen. I don't think it was like an errand boy to keep track of this. It was like a position of authority. They laid their coats down there as he watched over it all. And of course, well, I don't think he could forget that. Not the stoning, because he had others killed, but what happened with Stephen.
Right.
It was amazing.
His face.
His face shown, yes. So, for Paul's protection, God sends him out of Jewish land, Jewry, as we learned yesterday, And it was God's plan for many reasons. One, to protect the guy, because Jews were after him. Paul was the apostle to the Gentiles, and Peter to the Jews. Could someone today be a missionary sent to the Jews, or to the Gentiles, or to the Arabs, or Asians, or Ukrainians, or a group of people?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
You wouldn't say I'm the apostle, or I'm a missionary to earthlings. That's a little broad.
all of us are.
Yeah.
Gentiles is a tad bit.
That's a big one, yeah. That's a big one, yeah.
But they probably, well, no, they didn't all speak Hebrew, did they?
Probably not, no. So that was a big group of people. So we usually narrow it down to at least a country. Well, I've seen missionaries. I've never seen one to multiple countries. Though Noah, what's the guy's name? Noah Webster?
No.
George.
No, George.
Noah George is to Arabian countries, it appears.
Brother Clouds.
There's Mormons that feel called to the Mormon people
Right.
to be missionaries in solitude.
Yeah. But to
That's
the Mormon
kind of a
people.
whole, like, cult that they.
Sure. Yeah.
My brother Cloud describes his ministry as to Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
Okay.
even though he's located in Nepal.
Nepal, yeah. So I think that's fine. So when you're considering Airway Heights, which is a great place, by the way, and it needs a good church, but maybe you consider Eastern Washington. Maybe you consider the country of Belize. Not that you get there and you find your city and you stay there. No, we're talking about I'm going to evangelize and try and get churches started in every city that doesn't have a good church. In the country of Belize. Have a bigger picture. But we're so trained, and I was the same way, and our thinking sometimes maybe too narrow. I'm not saying it's wrong to think of a certain city, because you're going to have to go city by city, but oh well. But 22 and 23, why did the Jews there suddenly get extremely upset with Paul? Well,
We're talking about Gentiles.
yeah, they're talking about Gentiles. Yeah, that's kind of going with you, speaking in Hebrew, and you're kind of Jewish and all that, so you need to mention these Gentiles? Oh no.
Yeah.
And so they threw a little Jewish fit. Be like the Nazis reacting about someone speaking favorably of the Jews, or the southern plantation owners hearing nice talk about the Negro slaves. This is how you throw a pharisaical fit. You, what do? Cast their clothes off,
Dust in the air.
And cried out.
My kids
and then
do
throw
it
dust in the
all
air.
time.
If I saw someone doing that, I'd go, stay away from that
My
guy.
kids do that.
They cast their clothes off and then throw
Well,
dust in the air.
sometimes,
Yeah.
not at the same time, but
Very passionate and expressive people, Jewish people. Someone read 24 through 26.
The chief captain commanded him to be brought into the castle, and bade that he should be examined by a scourging, that he might know wherefore they cried so against him. And as they bound him with thongs, Paul said unto the centurion that stood by, Is it lawful for you to scourge a man that is a Roman and uncondemned? When the centurion heard that, he went and told the chief captain, saying, Take heed what thou doest, for this man is a Roman.
Amen. Then the chief captain came and said unto him, Tell me, art thou a Roman? He said, Yeah. Yea. And the chief captain answered, With a great sum obtained I this freedom. And Paul said, But I was freeborn. Then straightway they departed from him which should have examined him, and the chief captain also was afraid, after he knew that he was a Roman, and because he had bound him. On the morrow, because he would have known the certainty wherefore he was accused of the Jews, he loosed him from his bands, and commanded the chief priests and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down, and set him before them. Whoopsie! When I read that, not every time, but usually when I read that, if I'm just going on through when he says, but I was freeborn, I go, yes! God, good. Yeah, that's impressive. I was born free.
got out of jail free card. You just
Yeah.
kind of flip that.
Well, it's pretty impressive to be a Roman back then. Nowadays, no big deal. Or if you're from another country wanting to get into America, and this person says, I'm living here, but I've got American citizenship. citizenship. Wow. Scourging was pretty intense. Whipping with a cat of nine tails, 40 save one. So let's almost beat him to death here. This all happened very quickly. They didn't know very much about Paul. In fact, they thought he was this other guy trying to lead an uprising. The ultimate societal position, meaning the highest societal position you can have, would be a Roman citizen back then. Gave you great privileges and great respect. Paul knew the law, and he used it to his advantage. Because the goal is to get the gospel out. So, use it to your advantage if you want to. There's a great advantage for being a U.S. citizen in going to a foreign country. People will find out you're American probably pretty fast and go, whoa, American. Whoa, you're from America.
Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes.
Yeah, well, it can be. That's right. If they hate Americans, not maybe so good. People so desired to the status of being a Roman citizen that they would actually purchase it for a large sum of money back then. But Paul was born a Roman, as we already saw from the scriptures. God planned it this way, or worked it out for His glory. He had some unique factors that God would later use for His advantage, like this. This could be similar to having dual citizenship, or, that's not the same, of course, but, or being bilingual. Great advantage. Or having a parent who's a citizen of another country. God can use that. So think, online students too, think of, are you bilingual? Are you multinational, where you have maybe white father and an Asian mother, or something like that, and they're from another country, they came over here? God maybe has set the stage up for you to eventually go to that place, to reach those people. Brother Sparks is a perfect example. In the Navy, married a Filipino lady, who was in a port for a while, I guess, stationed there, and later in life got serious for the Lord, called to be a missionary, went back to those people, the Waray-Waray, Samar Leyte, the Philippines. Actually to the village where his wife was raised in, Barangay. That can happen. Who here has either grandparents or parents that are from another country? Korea, South Korea. Scotland. Germany. Actually from there? Not just distant, really distant?
My dad's side is all German.
Okay, so consider that. Going on. God could use it in your favor for missionary work. The tables turn quickly here. Yeah. Okay, so now they're trying to get him out of there, saying, I'm sorry, sir. Acts 23, we'll do a little bit of this. I don't know, we could probably get another break in. Oh, sure, we can. So we got to speed things up, of course, because I'm running out of time. So I will do that. Enough with the... Boys, I'll read the first three, someone do 4 and 5. Chapter 23. And Paul, earnestly beholding the council, said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by him to smite him on the mouth.
Then said Paul unto him, God shall smite thee, thou whited wall. For sittest thou to judge me after the law, and commandest me to be smitten contrary to the law? And they that stood by said, Revilest thou God's high priest? Then said Paul, I was not, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, Thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of thy people.
Right. Revilest thou God's high priest? Uh-oh, trouble. Jesus had done something somewhat similar here. So Paul was trying to figure out the tactic he should use with the council here, and he later finds it out. So he basically told them that he had done nothing wrong, and the high priest got all upset here. And so they hit him on the mouth, probably a slap. They typically, I think the law said you couldn't use close fists back then, so slaps, they slap people a lot. And it was culturally acceptable, but not okay in regards to the law. Commandest me to be smitten contrary to the law? Yeah, I was right there, verse 3. So what happens here? What's the deal? Do you think Paul already knew that this guy was a high priest? I didn't know you were a high priest. Don't high priests have a certain garb they wear?
Yeah.
Paul knows that stuff.
Was he wearing it?
Maybe he wasn't wearing it. Usually they're sitting in that special seat. I don't know. And they have with Jesus. Somewhat similar. Right? So, I'm not saying he was lying here. I'm not saying he is, but it's very interesting. Make sure not to outwardly speak evil of the ruler of thy people. So, our president. You don't like President Obama?
We're the ruler.
Then don't speak evil. And there's other verses in the Bible, brother, in Romans, that we're not supposed to speak evil of the dignitaries, folks over us. So, brother, you can have your little conspiracy theory, go on psycho.com and find all this stuff out. But the Bible is the Bible. Talking about Gentiles in the Bible. But okay, you can rule your own self. Go out there and do what you want. So, I know what you mean, though. Because we are a republic.
Yes.
We are servants.
Or we were a republic.
We were.
No, we were a republic.
We're not
Okay.
anymore.
Oh, so you need to teach on this.
I know.
You know, I don't know what I teach. I don't know what I teach on it. There's nothing I feel passionate about. He feels passionate about many things.
Yeah.
He is afraid what may be the outcome of all that. All right, back to reality here. Which, that was reality too. And don't speak evil against the rule of your people here at Faithful Baptist Church.
Amen.
Or any pastor. I don't think that would be a wise thing to do.
Yeah.
If he finds out, oh boy, he's going to be sad and go cry and quit. I'll read 6 through 8, someone do 9 through 11. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, Men and brethren, I'm a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Of the hope and resurrection of the dead I'm called in question. And we had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. For the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit. But the Pharisees confess both.
And there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees part arose and strove, saying, We find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel hath spoken to him, let us not fight against God. And when there arose a great dissension, the chief captain, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces of them, commanded the soldiers to go down and to take him by force from among them, and to bring him into the castle. And the night following the Lord stood by him and said, Be of good cheer, Paul, for as thou hast testified of me in Jerusalem, so must thou bear witness also at Rome.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we know this, but what did the Sadducees not believe in?
Resurrection. Or
That?
spiritual.
Spirits, angels,
Yeah.
or spirit. Okay. Those three. All right, but the Pharisees, they do believe in that. So they're like today's Sadducees are like today's modernists who deny much of the supernatural, and the Pharisees would be more like today's mainliners. They do accept that. Split tactic here. See if you can get your opponent fighting against among themselves.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty smart. Because he saw this, he goes, I'll take the side of the Pharisees and I'll get out of this predicament. Choose to take a side and find your common ground. So if there's a bunch of religious folk against you, maybe you can see something in that crowd. Maybe there's some, probably not, but King James only folks. Where are they at? Maybe folks, maybe it's a bunch of liberals and more ecumenicals that believe in salvation. It's not by works, but then there's some that do believe by works and say, well, salvation's not by works. And those folks go, yeah, he's right, you know, yeah. No, he's not right. And, yeah. We'll find it out, guys. Going back to this, I'm sorry I lost my mind. Yeah, so the split tactic. King James, a literal hell. So Paul aligned himself with the Pharisees. And how ironic when you look at what Jesus Christ said about Pharisees. Vipers, venomous snakes, whatever he said. Today's charismatics might have responded the same as did the Pharisees. Hey, if some spirit spoke to him, who's to say? These Mormons, more-offs, that if a spirit spoke, if they're speaking in tongues, who's to say? That's what some are saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Chief captain once again comes to Paul's rescue. Da-da-da-da. And so Paul was greatly bothered by all this and needed the Lord's intervention here. Because Paul, God says to him, or Jesus says in verse 11, be of good cheer, Paul. So I assume Paul wasn't of good cheer. Why else would he have said that? So Paul was bothered. So was the Lord visible? I don't know. Paul, guess what? You get to suffer like this a whole bunch more. Be of good cheer. That's good news. But only if you are looking at it like Jesus Christ looks at it, it's good news. It's awesome news. Because for my glory, you're going to do it, and also in heaven, you're going to be ranked up to a pretty high martyrdom and all. Let's do one more and have a short break. Amen? Whatever. What? Someone read 12 and 13, and I'll read 14 and 15.
And when it was day, certain of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under a curse, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. They were hungry. And they were more than 40 which had made this conspiracy. And they came to the chief priests and elders and said, we have bound ourselves under a great curse that we will eat nothing until we have slain Paul.
Yeah, why not, since you went over time here. Go ahead, you go find it.
Now therefore ye with the council signify to the chief captain that he bring him down unto you tomorrow, as though ye would inquire something more perfectly concerning him, and we or ever he come near are ready to kill him. That was a little hard.
Right. Yeah, that's hard. So there's 40 of these guys. Take an oath, we're going to not eat or drink until we kill this guy. Well, they're dead now because they didn't eat or drink. So do you think there's people out in America like this? Maybe not taking an oath like that, but just want to kill committed Christians. Those that are really trying to live by the stuff.
God says there is, so there must be.
Well, all right, you just listen to the liberals, and their eyes start twitching when they talk about these, these fundamentalists, or these people that are against, homosexuality, that are, trying to have the Bible in schools and what church, pro-spanking, all these things, child discipline. It's amazing. I don't know if they want to kill us, but they don't like us, and I think some would like us dead.
The Satanists do, I'm sure.
Yeah. So they were willing. How would you feel if there's 40 guys really angry with you and wanting you dead? Hunt you down in this town. It's not like you're hiding off in America somewhere. They know where you're at. 4 would bother me. 40, I'd just say, I'm flying to some other country.
Yeah.
They were willing to attack Paul with the chief captain and the soldiers even there. These guys are, I don't care about it. We're doing it. Well, they must have understood that their attack would be resisted, and at the end of all this might be their death even. They weren't doing this for money or for fame. They did this out of hatred for Paul. And some might hate you the same, dear Christian. Just try and go into India, Indonesia, and Arab nations and other places and freely preach the gospel of Jesus Christ out in the open. And preach against, even, their gods. Yeah. See how that goes for you. You'd have more than 40 after you.
The guy in Caldwell, I think he hated me through
that guy, yeah.
At that moment, at least.
At that moment.
He was full of hate.
Yeah, that was a hateful thing. Though when he put it out there, he didn't go like this and curse. He kind of laid it out there. I was watching that. And I said to the guy, I said, oh, I take it you didn't want that. And he didn't respond. He goes, I guess you don't speak English. I shouldn't have said all that. Okay, well, after all this, let's take a break. Short one, just 2 minutes.